So hi, I hope you can hear this because I can't test it, but we'll see. My name is Carol Van Natta, and I am a science fiction and fantasy author. My current series is the Central Galactic Concordance space opera series that starts with Overload Flux. If you haven't read the series, you could try Last Ship Off Polaris G, which just got a nice little 5-star review. That's a novella if you'd like, and you could see if you like it. So I am doing this live appearance because a couple of my friends said that they think that I am silly enough in person that I should share it with my buddies on Facebook, which is you. So it sounded like fun, so here I am, and there you are, and we're all live, and if we have lots of fun, I'll do more of them. How's that? So I thought that I would start with a topic that I get asked about a lot. What genre are your books? This is after they find out that I'm an author, of course, but they say, oh, so what's your book about and what genre is it? So sometimes it's a little hard to answer because some people don't know exactly, they're not like up on all the genres. So in science fiction, I write space opera. And that term was actually coined by a critic who meant it as an insult. He was complaining that they were all high on action and relationships and these big adventures that went all over the place. And yet they didn't have so much of the universal grand question or the provocative theme or, heavy science or something like that. And he really meant it as an insult. He was very unhappy that people were messing with his favorite science fiction genre. However, authors found and publishers found that they rather liked the term, and they continued to use it, much to his annoyance. So I would put Star Trek and Firefly and maybe Babylon 5, although that's a little more in the mainstream science fiction, I would think, and maybe The Expanse as space opera. So science fiction romance, which kind of there's some gray areas. I mean, it's not exactly as cut and dried as you would think. So in science fiction romance, there is a romance, and there's the science fiction. And ideally, the story would fall apart without both of them. So that, to me, that's science fiction romance. It's actually a fairly new genre in terms of a name, but it's been around as long as people have been putting romances in science fiction. Andre Norton, Linnea Sinclair, the Millers for the Liaden universe, Anne McCaffrey. All those people put romance in their science fiction. They just didn't call it science fiction romance. So sometimes my books have involved the military. So people, usually males, ask, oh, is it military SF? Which is kind of what it sounds like. I mean, there's lots of science, and it's hardware galore, and ships and guns and epic space battles and things like this. And my objection generally to most military SF is that you can generally replace the characters with, say, a coffee cup and a desk lamp, and the plot would still be the same. You have the grand space battles and the hardware and the spaceships and things like this, and nothing really happens to the people. Or it does, but it's, you don't care because it's all about the ships, and the military and protocol and things like that. So another genre that it might fall into my books, because my books have mental talents, I'm going to call them that. They're actually minders, and there's a whole world around that. Might also fall in space fantasy, which is where I would put Star Wars, by the way, because it mixes science with magic. But in my universe, whereas people don't exactly quite know where the Minder talents come from, they are scientific and quantified. Maybe not in the way that everybody would like to know every last detail, but we humans aren't really good at figuring out how our brains work, because it kind of requires vivisection, which is, maybe a little questionable in the ethics and morals department. So in my future, the same problem exists. They may really wish to know how the Minder talent works, but also, there's that problem with experimentation and things. So really, space opera is the best fit for my series, because it's strong on characters and action and adventure and romance, and it's got a middling amount of science. I mean, it's not like, oh, by the way, here's a little science, or lots and lots and lots of science, and oh, by the way, here's a little plot. They're more in the middle, sort of middling amount of science. And then I've got, for my series, I've got this grand overarching plot that's about rebellion. So I personally and very specifically chose to include romances in my books, because as anybody who has lived through upheavals and interesting times, as it were, they can tell you that it's really stressful. It's exciting and change is happening, but we humans are really bad about change. We don't like change. We want things just to be the same, the way that we like them. So changes in like the 1960s in the United States, for example, were, if you were alive during that, as some of us were, it was an exciting time, but it was a very scary time and stressful. And so I include romances in my books because my big overarching plot is about rebellion. So the romance gives you, I hope, as a reader, the sense that even in perilous times, even in really stressful, horrible times, that hope and justice can prevail. Also, because I want people to come back and read the next book, and I don't want them to be so depressed that they go and slit their wrists. So, I'm surprised. I actually see several people watching me. I didn't think anybody would. So, I hope I'm not too silly. Oh, thank you. I see somebody likes my glasses. Yes, well, I like my glasses too. These are my computer glasses. I have lots of glasses. I didn't used to have lots of glasses, and then I read another author friend who says that she buys them all the time and has like 20 pair, and I thought, oh my goodness, something I can collect besides socks. It would be great. So these are my computer glasses, and then I have far distance glasses, and I have sunglasses, and it's just loads of fun. So I see lots of people are joining. This is very fun. I was talking about genres, and if you've missed a lot of this, you could actually watch later. This will be recorded, and then I'll post it so that you could watch it later and see just how very silly I am on camera. And I see some other friends, and I know Angela says never underestimate the wonder of socks, and I really like socks because they're easy to collect. They're fairly cheap. I have 2 drawers stuffed full of them because they have delightful colors and patterns and things like that, and it's all very wonderful. So I think I will sign off now because I've been very silly for a long time, and maybe we can do this again. It would be fun. Thanks. This is Carol Van Natta, science fiction and fantasy author, saying bye.